Of Silicon Valley's biggest investors making a massive Bitcoin bet. Founders Fund, the venture capital firm founded by PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel, has amassed hundreds of millions of dollars in Bitcoin, according to the Wall Street Journal. Sources tell the Journal that his firm bought around $15 to $20 million in digital currency, which it now says is worth hundreds of millions after its nearly meteoric rise this year. Here's what Thiel told me about the cryptocurrency's potential when I sat down with him back in October in Riyadh.
Well, I'm skeptical of most of them. I do think people are a little bit are maybe underestimating Bitcoin specifically, because it's like a reserve form of money. It's like gold, and it's just a store of value. You don't actually need to use it to make payments. And if Bitcoin ends up being the cyber equivalent of gold, you know, it has a great potential left. So it's a very different kind of thing from what people in Silicon Valley normally focus on. Companies, not algorithms or protocols. But this may be one exception that's very underestimated.
Bitcoin prices spiked after the Journal reported the investment. Kevin Kelly, what do you think about this? This bet has certainly paid off big for Thiel so far.
Yeah, I absolutely love this. I mean, this is the validation of this asset class. I mean, you're starting to see the world's largest investors get into it finally after the largest futures exchange, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, launched futures on it, as well as the SIBO. So you have the adaptation of that. But this goes back to basically a currency that can be used should you need to get around price controls or surging inflation in prices. We've seen Latin American investors and citizens are using this to get away from Venezuela. You know, they're getting hyperinflation. So this is a great way. And it's better than gold, because what are you going to do? Lug around a bunch of expensive gold somewhere? You can't do that, right? And in the transfer of that.
It's an instrument of pure speculation, and there are literally hundreds of other cryptocurrencies, and for now the mania and fixation is on this one. And I'd argue it's not like gold. At least gold has a use, that you can use it to make jewelry. There is no underlying use or value of this asset, if you want to call it that. And by the way, we should remind people, Peter Thiel is one really rich dude, and he can afford to lose $20 million just on taking a flyer on something like Bitcoin. Your average person cannot afford that, because there's a guess.
It's not a flyer. It isn't
a flyer now.
What is it backed by?
Wait, can I tell you this? Listen, we're sitting here. We are so privileged to have a banking system we can trust in and we can transact, and we get to do that. If I'm somebody in a developing nation where there is no bank, or I have a government that's imposing its will and it's a dictatorship, I can actually use this and become my own bank. Tons of people have their own cell phones.
But you can use any of the other cryptocurrencies. That's my point. And
but we're not talking about the other crypto. We're talking about Bitcoin.
Okay, but that's why this is dangerous, because this is where the speculation is. And my point is that anybody who needs a way to transact business outside the traditional banking system and transactional networks, they could choose another cryptocurrency at some point. It's not people in Latin America who need to do deals with other people. It's bartenders from coast to coast who are speculating on this, who could get their shirts handed to them, and their pants, and their shoes, and their socks.
Look, it's not a replacement for the U.S. dollar. And Marie, you asked, well, what's it backed by? What's Bitcoin backed by? What's the U.S. dollar backed by? The faith and credit of the U.S. government, because we're no longer on the gold standard.
And it didn't work in 2008, where people wanted to get their money back from the banks, but they couldn't, and there was a run on Bear Stearns.
Yeah, but you know what? The dollar didn't collapse.
The dollar didn't collapse. Look, are you comparing it to the dollar now?
Of course, because
the dollar didn't collapse in 2008, Kevin. That's the point. If you're acting as if this is a currency, and it's not, it's a vehicle for speculators.
Look, I think it's great that the market is experimenting, that our regulators are watching closely, but letting this great experiment happen. Maybe Bitcoin has a certain purpose in the marketplace. Maybe it facilitates certain kinds of online transactions. Maybe it is just a tool for criminals. I don't know how it's going to end up. But look, this is a real live experiment going on. I think it's great. It's not going to replace the dollar. It's not gold. But, you know, let's let the market figure
If I
out
want
how
to take
use
Western
that.
Union and send money to a foreign country, it could take me a couple of days and it's heavy in fees. Or I could just have the party I want to send to. I can buy some Bitcoin right now. They could buy some Bitcoin. We
I'm
can
not
transact.
arguing that there is a valid use
faster.
for cryptocurrencies, but that's not how it is being used today. It is being used for people to speculate.
Sure.
And when you convince people that that only Bitcoin is the future, why not Litecoin? Why not Ripple? Why not one of the other myriad cryptocurrencies that you're encouraging people to potentially lose everything that they own?